Welcome to the first Kaiju Universe Ultimate tier list since the game's return on May 11th. In this video, I'll rank the 10 Kaijus who are currently in the game from weakest to strongest, and explain why. This one is shorter than the usual tier list for obvious reasons, but once the roster's bigger, I'll update it. I'll probably be doing this once every month or two, especially if rebalance updates become common again. Anyways, please like and subscribe, and let's get into the lowest tier, D tier. D tier, the worst of the worst. The only kaiju in D tier right now is unfortunately my favorite of the ones in the game right now. Akatsume kind of sucks. Akat has a badly mistuned moveset. Few attacks are viable, only really attack 1 and attack 3 in range mode. All he can really do is spam the first attack over and over. You know who else does that and who does it 100 times better? Moonlight Beast. Akat is outclassed by Ablecross too, who has more range even in melees. They're also bullied relentlessly by flying kaijus. Akat has few good matchups right now. It's a shame because Akatsume is possibly one of my top 5 favorite models the KU devs have ever made, with some of the coolest effects yet too. That's all for D tier. Moving on to C tier. C tier, the below average. At the bottom of C tier, Malacive is understandable. This is, after all, the free kaiju that every player has when they first play. Malacive has a decent set: flight, charging attacks, and a beam. Where they struggle is with maneuverability. Malacive is super slow on ground with no sprint, so if it's grounded, the fight is over. The kaiju can't live long on the ground with so little health. Next in C tier is Ablecross. He's one of my favorite designs in the new KU, but lacks strength. There are a few good things about this kaiju combat-wise though. Ablecross has expanded hitboxes. The claw attacks hit farther than they look. You can use this to range out enemies. I recommend investing in speed points to stay at range. The ranged attacks are also great. Unfortunately, Ablecross struggles due to low durability and having a completely useless utility. Digging does nothing. B tier, the good kaijus. Carimoch is a flyer who, unlike Malacive, has tons of mobility and becomes actually pretty decent when grounded and forced to fight on land. Plenty of Carry's attacks have them moving forwards or backwards, away from enemy attacks. And it really helps in combat. Plus, it has a parry. Karkinos isn't actually out at the time of this video's creation, but it's going to be soon, and we're all almost certain that it's a reskin of Scylla. Reskins haven't changed KAIJUS' stats so far, and I don't think that'll change for this. So I'll go off of how Scylla was before all of this, and use Scylla as the background. Kark is one of the hardest kaijus to learn, but when mastered is actually a terrifying thing to encounter, and tons of fun to use. Karkinos has 2 major weaknesses though. They're vulnerable to flyers with no beam, high-reaching attacks, or grounding. Kark also sucks when you are low level, but if you level up this kaiju and take some time to learn how to use it best, it'll seriously be one of the most fun things in the game. Tier A, the exceptional kaijus. At the bottom of A, the Nutcracker shreds ground kaijus with its crazy good range and speed. The drum special ability is also decent. The Nutcracker only struggles in one spot. Flyers tear him apart. No grounding, a kaiju that's supposed to stay back from enemies and range. A recipe for disaster when encountering a flyer. Next in this tier is the Eclipsis Mothman. Currently the most expensive kaiju and the one intended to be the late game, this one actually has some interesting history. Mothman first came out as a limited-time Halloween kaiju in the old KU. It sucked. Its wings had hurt boxes, so it couldn't avoid taking a hit at all. Soon it got fixed, and now it's a super good kaiju who exploits its enemies' hurt boxes instead. Mothman is great, as a flyer and as a land kaiju. Now, on to the only tier above A. It's time for S tier. S tier, the best of the best. Kicking off S tier, needing no explaining, it's the Moonlight Beast. This kaiju is incredible in every way. It can out-DPS everyone else with Attack 1 spam. It has a good beam, and it can ground flyers. In a meta so dominated by flying kaijus right now, grounding is essential, and this is pretty much the only kaiju with viable grounding ability. I bet that even after many more kaijus come out, Moonlight Beast is going to stay very high. He was always high up back in the old game as Cleric Muto. Next up in S tier, it's Voodon and Juju. I know it's weird to have the tier with the most kaijus in it to be the top instead of the middle, but I just couldn't justify kicking Moon out of S. I would have normally adjusted the top tiers to lower the amount of flyers in them, since only the best players will be so good with them. And those players are outliers, way better than usual. However, flyers are currently better than ever because of one thing. They can boost their health regen with roars while flying, and that just gives Voodon a crazy advantage. It doesn't help that Voodon has one of the widest varieties of ranged attacks of any flyers. So if it starts to lose, it can just fall back, roar to heal, and then spam ranged moves. It's the same problem with my final kaiju, and a first place on the list. Number 1, the top of S tier. It's Nouctera, formerly Kaiju Universe's biggest pest, Rodan, and one of the top 10% for a long time. This kaiju has withstood so many rebalances without dropping from the top spot. A top-skilled player will demolish almost anything as long as they're patient. Camping, making good use of hitboxes, roaring, and ranged moves make this kaiju deadly. Again, this kaiju can spam roars to heal while flying out of reach of enemies. It's a broken mechanic. Flyers have slowed regen in the air for a reason. If not for that, Moonlight Beast may have taken that spot. That's all for this tier list. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified on future videos. Goodbye.